Welcome to Geek Fan and Media. I'm your host, Chris, and you guys, we're talking the latest episode of The Last of Us Season 2. Now, before we jump into this new episode, you guys, I have an extreme hot take on where I think they should have gone for this particular season. And going to the season, I'm a gamer. I played the game multiple times. I'm currently playing part 2, probably for the 100th time. I got my modifiers on. I'm going through the game like it's nothing, but I'm still like a little bitch because it's still scary in some parts of the game. But before going into this season, I had to really switch my mindset. And that mindset was, this is not going to be 100% faithful adaptation of the game. There's no way in hell they're able to do that. The first one even wasn't, but the first one was great. Season 1 was phenomenal. So going into this new season, I had to really put that in my head because I'm ultimately always going to go right to the game. Oh, how is it different from the game? Why is the game better? This, that, and that. So I had to adapt that mindset before going into this season. I honestly did. So my hot take, you guys, you ready for this? My hot take is they should have killed Tommy at the beginning. Tommy should have been the one to have been killed by Abby. Now, since Abby doesn't know who Tommy and Joel were or are, she was only given brief information on his appearance. And I think that in that second episode, Tommy should have sacrificed himself for his brother Joel when that whole encounter happened in the cabin. And then you now center the focus around a revenge story with Joel and Abby. That is my hot take. That's my hot take. Because if I'm being honest with you guys, there are a lot of people out there who have stopped watching the show since Joel's death. Joel was the heart and soul of this show. That's facts. My brother, just simply not into the second season. Loved the first season. Loved it. The second season, he's about it. So I think that could have worked. And you have to remember, it could be an adaptation of the game. It doesn't have to be 100% what the game did. I feel like that would have been a more intriguing story of seeing Joel going after Abby because Abby killed Tommy. That is my hot take. Let me know what you guys think about my hot take. Now, what did I think about this latest episode of The Last of Us? Boy, it was a flashback-filled episode. Didn't necessarily progress with, this season, but it showed so much more in-depth backstory character moments between Joel and Ellie. And I loved one particular scene the most was the flashback scene of Joel as a kid and Tommy as a kid and Joel's father. That was fascinating to me because that's something the game never touched on, never established. That was all made up for this series. So I love that whole scene between him, Joel, and his father. Talking about, the abuse and, raising a child and that scene where he said, I hope you do much better than I did by the time you become a father. Because ultimately, I am a parent. I understand that. I have a father. I understand that. You want to do better than your parents did. So that hit home to me. And I can relate to that. So for the people who don't have kids, who can't really relate to that, who didn't really take that scene in, it was powerful and it was very impactful. So I love that. And the fact that we got to see the glimpse of the watch, that watch this whole time was Tommy's and Joel's father's. It means even more now. I was like, oh, I am loving it. And, seeing the struggle, seeing Joel really embrace, Ellie as his daughter was beautiful. Because ultimately, that's what she is. Joel lost his daughter at the very beginning of this, whole apocalypse. So now he's raising a new daughter and she's growing up. She's 15, she's 16, she's 17. She's adapting to life. She is experiencing life right in front of our eyes. So seeing Joel really try to, really try to make her happy and be the best dad, it was beautiful. Trying to get the cake made, going into the city, getting resources and stuff like that, making trades, just so we can get a cake made for, Ellie's 15th birthday was beautiful. I loved it. I was like, oh man, this is really beautiful. And seeing just their relationship, man, and to see how happy they were as father and daughter, going to the museum, seeing the dinosaur, the astronaut stuff, and all of that shit, right from the game, by the way. Really faithful. I mean, scene for scene, I was like, oh yeah. The whole guitar scene, it was so faithful to the game. It was beautiful. I loved those moments in this last episode, you know? But then you also have to realize, I mean, Joel he has some deep trauma. And, you know, that ending scene with Joel and Ellie in the forest, right? And they're encountering, oh my God, his therapist, his husband. I forgot his name. Damn, I forgot his name. That whole sequence, that was new to us. That was new to me. So we actually got to see how that got down and how he made promises to Ellie and he kept lying to her face. You have to realize you are her father figure. You're her father in her eyes. So she felt so much mistrust between Joel. The fact that he could really never tell her the truth about anything he's done. The whole Seattle situation and the Fireflies. That plays a pivotal part into their relationship moving forward. All the mistrust. So the fact that, you know, that scene was beautiful, by the way. I forgot they got the guy from the Bad Boys series, the cop, the sergeant. Loved him, by the way. Loved Gail. I believe her name was Gail. Her husband. You know, that scene, dude, how he just wanted to see his wife one more time. He wanted to see her eyes, her lips, her skin, her face. He wanted to hear her words because he knew he was going to die because he was now infected. I feel for a man like that. I ultimately understand. You want to see the person you love the most before you are no longer in this world. I understood that. But Joel didn't. Joel was always about making the right decision, not putting this potential situation in harm with the rest of the community. Ultimately, that's what it was. So he told Ellie to go do something, whatever, and he was like, I'll meet you, whatever, blah, blah, and ends up killing him, shooting him in the head. And Ellie instantly knew. She knew. She knew. Because in the back of her mind, that whole Seattle situation was still there. There were still no answers to her questions. So she questioned Joel. Do I really know you and what you are capable of doing? So when Joel ended up killing him, and then they go back to the community, and he's telling Gail, I believe that's her name, correct me if I'm wrong. He's telling her what happened, and she's crying on her shoulder. And Ellie's there witnessing this man, her father, lying, the blatant face, the disrespect. She was sick of it. She was like, that's not what happened at all. He wanted to see you. We were going to come back. He was infected. Then Joel killed him. He shot him in the head. What a moment. I was like, oh, she's done with his shit. She's done with the mistrust. She's done with the lies. And I was like, oh, wow, this is crazy. You can see Joel's heart drop. Like, why? Why would you do that? Joel, that's ultimately on you. That's on you. That's your child. The one thing I can say as a parent, you want to be transparent. You want to be truthful with your children. Because when they get out into the world, guess what? That's just going to hit them rock ass hard. And then there's not going to be no sugarcoating nothing. Especially, being black. So Joe needs to understand that. He can't just keep lying to Ellie. She's getting older. She's, adapting. She's creating her own persona and mind of herself. So that whole scene was powerful. And then seeing, Ellie, grow up year after year. Joel's always trying to get a cake for her, and then, she's experimenting, sexually and things like that. And, she's growing older. She has a tattoo. Joel as a parent freaks out. Like, what's going on in here? Get out of here, So I understand it, right? it's a whole part of, parentage and parenting that's going to, really, throw some curves at my way. Because my son is only 5 years old. The adolescence phase and the teenager phase, those are coming, y'all. So I got to get myself mentally prepared for that because this is going to be wild. But I'm trying my best to raise a son, a young man. And, it's not easy. especially working, so much. So I loved how this episode and, it was just so relatable. It was great. It was really good. And then the final scene, dude, seeing Joel and Ellie, Pedro Pascal, I tip my hats off to him because he acted, both of them, it was so good. It was so good. She finally asked him, like, what happened? Don't bullshit me. This is your last straw. And he told her. And Ellie broke down, like, that was my purpose in this world. I could have changed the trajectory of everything in the entire world. I could have saved everyone. Ultimately, we don't know that, though. We don't know if that procedure would have worked. We don't. So that's where I kind of, disagreed. I'm like, we don't really know if that would have worked. So I was like, I'm calling cap on that a little bit. I don't know the percentage rate. But to see Joel and Pedro Pascal crying and both of these characters, feeding off each other's energy and emotion and, saying that I love you. That's why I ultimately did this. And you can't understand that until you have somebody of your own coming full circle of what his father told him at the very beginning of the episode. Full circle. I hope you do better than I did. I was like, damn. Great. Peak writing. Really good. I was like, I am so impressed right now, you guys. And then that's, the episode ends. And the flashback scenes are done. And, we get to see, Ellie going back to the theater or whatever after she killed Nora, right? And then that's a wrap. I didn't stay there for, what's next for the next episode because I want to go in completely blind, although I do know what kind of happens because I played the game. But really well-written episode. So many great character moments. So many great character developments. I mean, the chemistry between Bella Ramsey and Pedro, it oozes off the screen. And I love it. And it's so believable, you guys. But so good. Let me know what you guys think about my hot take, by the way. Thoughts and opinions. What do you think about the latest episode of The Last of Us Season 2? We have one final episode remaining. How do you think they're going to close this out, you guys? Thoughts and opinions, let me know. And, of course, thank you guys for taking time out of your day for watching Geek Fandom Media. Peace.